Okay, everything is ready. What's good, guys? My name is Oleg Nikitin and you're watching No Limits On, the channel about the privilege of being a freelancer. So the last week I had a video about 10 tips, hidden tips in Final Cut Pro X, and today I have decided to give you more tips, another 10 tips that will help you out using Final Cut Pro X, and they will kind of ease up your workflow and you'll have some fun or maybe some, benefits watching this video, so stay tuned. Okay guys, in the previous video I didn't show a single effect or workflow stuff about audio, and here is an audio from my video. It's in Russian, by the way, and we can hear that the sound is pretty rich and bassy and very nice. So here are my 3 effects. You can find them here in the effects tab, and you can simply type in the names of it. So the first one is being channel equalizer. So here is the settings. This is the bass part, the middle part, and the high part, high frequencies. So you can copy this one to your project. Also the compressor that kind of makes your sound more dense. So here is the settings for my compressor. You can also copy this to your project. And here's the adaptive limiter, which doesn't allow my sound to be distorted. It kind of limits it, cuts the the peaks that are very loud. And here's the limiter settings. I found these 3 effects to be the most useful and the most kind of reliable thing, and I kind of tweak a little bit from time to time, from video to video, from the environment to another environment, especially in this channel equalizer, somewhere around the bass. For instance, here I have a pretty bassy sound because my voice reflects from the wall right here in front of me, so it will be a little more bassy, so I'll cut out a little bit of this bass. And if we hear this without it, so no effects turn on.
А теперь бонус выпуска. Зачем мне был нужен компьютер за космическую сумму?
So the sound becomes more punchy, more dense, and more kind of bassy, and I like it a lot. So guys, use those settings to improve your sound quality right here in Final Cut Pro X. I'm not a guru in sound, of course, but still it's working pretty nice and I enjoy the results. Okay guys, now we're moving on to the color correction and color grading tabs. So we hit Command 6 to open up the color corrections, but this is the base grade color correction. So we can see it, we have to do something like so, color board. Yeah, not the base grade, like color board tab. And here when we pull the highlights, it also takes a part of the midtones. When we put the midtones, it also affects the shadows and the highlights. And my light is dead. Okay guys, I got my lights back. So we are here, so when we pull the shadows tab, it also affects the midtones, so it's not very efficient. When we add the the color curves, we have here the luma curve, the red, green, and blue curves. So here we can make, for instance, with this picker, we can do some like this part of the image, and it represents right here, and we can pull this up or down. Also we can pick the, skin tones like so, and also pull only this part up or down, or just the highest highlights or the lowest shadows, and it will be affecting, but you shouldn't do so because it's too extreme. It's just subtle movements, something like very, very subtle. Also you can pull, let me switch to the color graded thing. Also you can go to color curves, and here we can do like, for instance, the blue. We can pick this part because it's, too blue for me, for instance, and we can pull down the blue color, and you can see that the blue is being reduced. And also we can make this mix tab working, like we want 50% of this effect or 100%. So you can see that before and after, it's much more, popping out of this. And also we have here the hue saturation curves. It's a pretty powerful, tool for color grading and color correction. So here we can change the hue. For instance, we can choose this part of the beard. It's a little magenta. So we can wait for some time while my computer is downloading this part, and we can see like right here. And also we can change the range from here to here, for instance, and we can change the hue of his beard. So we almost reduced the magenta, or we can enhance the magenta. And you can do it with any color. By the way, this is S-Log2 from my Sony FS7, which is 10-bit 4K. So we can push and pull the image, pretty badly. Also here we have the hue versus saturation, so we can lower the saturation of this cyan part, for instance. It's loaded up, and also we can pull it down, so we lower the saturation of this range, or we can pull this up, or make the range a little smaller, only the cyan part, and pull it down, so it's not that saturated. Also hue versus luma, we can set this range and change the luma value, so the brightness of this part. For instance, we can pull down some from it, so it can become brighter or darker. Also luma versus saturation, so the brightest part, for instance, we want that to be the less saturated. For instance, his skin, we just simply pick with the picker his skin part, and we can lower this down so it will be less saturated, or we can be more saturated. Hue, saturation versus saturation is kind of a weird thing. Do not really pay attention to this one. And pink versus saturation, we can just check his skin like so, and we can pull it up or down. So right now we have the orange one. When we pull this up, it becomes more orange. Obviously, when we pull this down, it has less orange in it. So for making skin tones pop, this is a great tool. So here we have the color curves and the hue saturation curves, which are, I guess, the best tools for color correcting and color grading and dialing in those small amounts of color, or taking out some small amounts of color, making some subtle movements and getting the best result possible right here inside the Final Cut Pro X with no plugins or something. It's just the built-in tools. The next thing we're going to talk about is keyframes. It's one of the I'm sorry for those key things, one of the key features of any NLE, so you can change the movement inside of your frame after you shot it. So we select the shot we want, we go here to this tab to transform, and we go right here. We set the keyframe in the beginning of the video because that's what I want to. And then we go somewhere to the end, we select the clip, we don't forget about it, and we set like, I don't know, 110%. And when we scroll through, we see that it slowly pushes in. We can do it vice versa, so we can undo the keyframe. We can start from 110, for instance, and we can go right here. By the way, we have to set the keyframe right here. And we go back here and we set 100, and it will be in reverse. But I prefer to make it push in the beginning of my video, so I engage the viewer more with this slow push in. It's not even noticeable at the first glance, but it's really kind of, gets you, the viewer, into the video. And also there is a third way of making the keyframe. You can go here to transform. You can set your keyframe right here, then we go somewhere we want to, and we just upscale and we move it to the side, for instance. But be careful, the border is here, so we don't want to make the border appear in the video itself. And when we scroll through the footage, we see that it has a scale in and also a move to the right. And it's enormously great tool. It has a limitless amount of things that you can do with keyframes. So I prefer to use keyframes not that much because I enjoy just pushing ins and push outs, but still you can rotate, you can distort your footage, you can, you can do so many things with it. So just learn something else and some more things about keyframing. In the previous video, I showed you how to paste attributes or certain effects from one clip to another. But right now I'll show you how to paste everything from one clip to another. For instance, I have this clip right here and this clip right here. They are identical, and I want to paste all of the, LUTs, sharpen effect, volume, some audio effects, timing. I mean, if it's slowed down, it will be slowed down in this part, and so on. So everything about this clip will be in this one. So we hit Command C to copy all of the effects, and then we hit Option or Alt, Command V. And all of the effects are right here. Our audio effects, our video effects, everything is just here. And if it was, for instance, slow 50%, I copy this one and then I simply hit Alt Command V. It will be so bad because all of the effects are copied and it's now at 50% slow. So you can, for instance, slow down one clip in your timeline and without the effects, and you can simply hit Alt Command V to the other clips that you want to slow down for the same amount. So, and one more interesting thing about this is Command Shift X. This pulls out the window which is called Remove Attributes, so we can select certain attributes, like for instance sharpen effect. If I don't like the sharpness of my video, it's like too much, I can remove this from here, and you can select Command A and then you hit Command Shift X and you can remove, you select what you want, and you can remove sharpen effect from the whole video throughout all the small parts of it. I hit remove, and when I see every single video, every single clip, there is nothing but the rest effects, but no sharpen. And if I go back, hit Command Z, you can see that it's right here, it's still here. So this thing is very helpful, because imagine when you hit each clip and you select sharpen and you delete this one, and then you hit this one and you select sharpen, which is not here. You select sharpen and you delete it here. It's just so time consuming, so use this feature. So guys, the next thing is all about the letter T on your keyboard. When you select a clip, for instance this one, and you hit Command T, it makes a cross dissolve transition. Also, you can shrink it down or do it like so. It's a very commonly used transition, and I use it a lot when it's shrink down. When I have some panning and whipping shots, I simply have a shot that's whipping around and the next shot is whipping from the same side. And when I want those shots to kind of match, not that hard of a cut, I simply add Command T, the cross dissolve, I shrink it down, and it's working. And the second tip with the letter T is the basic title. So I hit Control T, and here is the basic title. It's much more efficient than going to here to titles, than to find the basic title right here and to drag it right here. It's just time consuming, so you simply hit Control T and you use your basic title. This title I use the most in my videos. I can hit then Command T to make it appear like so or something, so it's a very convenient way of using the transition, the cross dissolve, and the title, the basic one with the letter T. Command T, Control T. The next thing I want to talk about is compound clip. So here I have 4 different pictures, kind of picture-in-picture modes. They're all the same and identical, and I don't even know why I would do so in the real life, but when we select all of them and we hit Option or Alt and G, we make the compound clip. So we can name it like so. This is the event I want this to be in. I hit OK, and here it is. It's all stacked into one simple clip. And we can shrink it down, but we cannot kind of shrink it out of the way. And when we double click, we can make some adjustments. We can, make something bigger, smaller. And if we go back, this change will still be right here. It's a very useful thing. Let me just undo this. It's a very useful thing when you want to stack some shots together, when you kind of working with the logos or with some different picture-in-picture style things. Just a very handy feature, and I use it a lot, almost in every single project I do. Okay, the next thing is Option key when you're using the transform tool. When you simply drag this thing, it just, upscales the whole picture. But when you hit Alt and you hold it, or Option key, and you drag it, you see, it saves the proportions and it just upscales the two sides that you want to be upscaled. It's a very useful feature, just a small one, but very handy. I use it a lot. Okay, and we're getting back to our sound features. And right now we can see that if we pull the sound bar with our mouse, it gets, very fast, very loud, very low, very not loud, I forgot the word, very quiet. But when we hit Command, the increments become more useful, let me say. So I make the same amount of movement with my mouth and mouse and my mouth also. And you can see that right now it's very fast, but when I hit Command, it's just way slower. Or you can go here to the sound tab and just dial in -10 dB by hand, manually. So it's a great feature to know. Okay guys, and the last thing for today's video is also about sound. So when you have your arrow right here on your sound bar, you can hit Option or Alt, hit like so, and then hit like so, and it will be a smooth transition. Or you can make it even like 1, 2, and this section will be easily workable. So it's kind of a keyframe for your sound. Or you can make it with your R key. You hit R, it says range, also you can select this here, range selection. You select this part, and inside of this selection you simply drag your sound, like so. So right now we have more even sound, and if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that we can pull and drag those keyframes, so to kind of tweak it a little bit, and hitting the Command key to make some subtle adjustments in terms of the volume. So it's a very handy and nice work with your sound. Okay guys, these are my 10 tips about Final Cut Pro X editing, and also I've got 10 more in this video, so in total I have 20 tips, let me say pro tips for you guys to ease up and to speed up your workflow in Final Cut Pro X. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please hit the like and subscribe buttons right here, because I do appreciate it and it really helps with the algorithms of YouTube, guys. And we're moving on to the quote of the episode. It's a pretty complicated one, so I'll read this aloud. It is better to go to the goal with the speed of a turtle than to come up with an excuse for why you're standing still with the speed of light, or at the speed of light. So no excuses guys, just going towards our goals and to our aims as well. So guys, this was Oleg Nikitin and No Limits On. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video guys. Take care, bye.